wanted John to come on here and really demonstrate it to all you guys and what the power of renewals are. Most of these big IMOs, FMOs are built off of renewals. Heartland Financial bought One Life America with Medicare renewals, if that tells you guys anything. So a company bought a company with their renewals, because when you keep adding Medicare Advantage policyholders to your book of business, your monthly renewals continue to grow. And that's what's exciting for me, is I understand that I'm really good at selling final expense, like a lot of you guys are. And so we're already dealing with the demographic of people that are in the Medicare Advantage space and Medicare supplement space. So all we have to do is become really good at asking people about their healthcare plan and if they're happy with their healthcare plan. And what you guys got to really wrap your mind around, what I want you guys to really wrap your mind around, is we have about 12 months to build our monthly renewals for 2024. So you guys understand, when you sell an AEP, your renewals aren't going to start right in January. You're going to get your first year commission in January. So if we go out and sell 100 policies in this upcoming AEP in January, you're going to get paid that first year commission. And then in January 2024 is when those monthly renewals are going to drop every 5th of the month. So I understand that I have 12 months to build up my base salary. You, the agent, have 12 months to build up your base salary. So in January 2024, you can have $2,000 coming in, $3,000 coming in, $4,000 coming in, which I don't know about you guys, but that eliminates a lot of my bills. And when your bills are eliminated off your plate, what else is eliminated? Stress. So we really have an opportunity to go hard in the paint with our Medicare sales to set ourselves up January 2024. So John Gentry, guys, is a vice president of Heartland Financial. He helped another organization really build up their book of business and eventually get bought out by Integrity. And somehow, some way, the Heartland team got him to jump on board with us. And so now he's at our disposal for you guys to utilize as a resource to leverage his experience to really build your book of business that you're looking to create. So we've met Neil, we've met Gary, we've met Dino. Now I want you guys to meet John Gentry, because he's another Medicare Advantage expert that is going to be in your guys' corner. So John, can you hear me?
Absolutely. I don't know that there's anything else for me to say after all of that, man. Wow.
Man, what I will tell you is there's 57 people on this call, John, that are very eager to understand the power of renewals, because a lot of us came from a place where renewals weren't actually explained to us. And we also came from a place where renewals weren't talked about. So really today we're here all ears to learn the power of renewals and really how we can utilize that dream calculator to live out our dreams, man. So the floor is yours, brother. If you need anything from me, just let me know.
Thank you so much for the very kind words, Gage, and the introduction. You know, guys, one of the things that I would say that really resonated with what Gage just said is about the power of renewal. It doesn't take a lot of agents. It doesn't take a lot of agents to actually go in and build a big book of business and create a renewal stream. Because as everything starts to click up line, what you're going to find is that it's actually very easy, especially if you're already selling final expense. You're going to find that transition over to Medicare Advantage one of the most simple processes that you're ever going to be able to do, because it is just some very simple questions. So one of the things I'd like to share with you is, as Gage said, the last agency that I was with for 15 years, I ran their Medicare side as well, and Integrity bought them solely based on, even though we did $35-40 million a year in final expense, we did 50,000 MA sales a year, and we did that primarily through an LOA career shop. We didn't do a lot of brokerage, and we only had 986 contracted agents. 486 actually sold United Healthcare for me. And for example, that particular group, the 486 agents, they sold right at 14,000 MAs just for United Healthcare. That didn't include Humana, that didn't include Anthem, that didn't include WellCare. I mean, those guys would go out and they would write 15 to 23 of those policies every single week, in addition to their final expense sales. Because what you have to imagine is this: a final expense client is a Medicare Advantage client. 65% of all of our sales that were Medicare Advantage were sold solely off final expense leads. what we found through the years that historically worked out almost to the T's, just like when you gauge a direct mail lead drop, I've dropped this many, I'm going to get back this, I'm going to be able to convert this many. I mean, it's down to a science and a formula. It's almost that way with Medicare Advantage. Out of every $7,500 to $10,000 in final expense sales or annualized premium, in annualized premium, you're going to find 3 to 5 Medicare Advantage sales in there. Now, is it going to be like that every single week? No, but in the wash, in the averages, that's exactly what it works out to. 3 to 5 extra sales. What would your book look like? What would your income look like with 3 to 5 additional sales every week from clients that you're already talking to, whether you close them or whether you don't? Now think about this. How many times have you actually called someone on a sales call or in person, however you're visiting your client, and either one, they could not qualify due to health, 2, their income just would not even allow them to rub 2 20s together where they could actually afford a base final expense plan. I mean, you dug all the way to the bottom to get to the minimal face amount and the minimum payment that you could get to, and they still just could not afford it because they were low income or on Medicaid. How many times have you run into that and weren't able to make a sale? That is a Medicare Advantage client. You can sell those all day long and you can sell them throughout the year. So instead of walking by that person, burning through that lead, not making any revenue for yourself, you can transition that to a guarantee issue product that has no health questions. The only thing that they have to be able to do is qualify during that enrollment period, put them on a plan. And if you sell somebody on Medicaid, the national average is they stay on that plan for 4.5 years on a Medicare Medicaid plan. So what would that actually look like? Can you see that, Gage? Is it
Yes,
up?
sir.
Perfect. So guys, your comp may be higher. If it is, that means it's even better because you'll just make more money. So let's say on average that you're writing 7 policies per week, which is at a $744 annualized premium on a 100-point contract. I'm not even going to calculate renewals in it because honestly, it takes forever to grow any type of renewal base for final expense. It's all about that first year hit, that first year comp. And I mean, you're constantly in that hamster wheel and you're constantly chasing it down in order to keep your income level the same. But if you go out on a 100-point contract, you write and you do the grind and you write 7 per week, $744. That's $270,000, $816 in first year commission. But you have to do that week in and week out. And of course, that requires the right lead flow. Now, as I said, that's about $5,000, which our average at TAG for just across the board with every agent was between $500 and $7,500 in annualized premium sales per week. There would be a week or two every month that they would work in there and they would hit that 10 or they would hit $12,000 because they had a good week. But in the wash, this was about our average. Their comp was a little lower. So of course, their first year comp was not as much. So they really needed to identify a way that, hey, how can I drive more income for myself? How can I not continue to have 4 hours of windshield time? Because these were field agents. How can I not continue to have 4 hours of windshield time in years 3, 4, and 5? How do I know that before my feet hit the floor, I can actually have some income coming in and I don't have to stress so much and I don't have to just keep pressing and then potentially actually oversell on the FE side? Well, the remedy to that is to Medicare Advantage. If you just go in week and week out, this is not accounting for any AEP sales increase. This is not accounting for any OEP sales increase. This is just saying that on average, you're going to work out and you're going to do 3 sales per week. Now, there are 2 different ways to do compensation, and I won't confuse it today, but what we'll talk about is that the majority or 80% of all of your Medicare Advantage sales will typically be what's called the renewal rate. This is the 2022 renewal rate, which will go up slightly for 2023, but it's $287. Now, this is prorated through the year, so the further into the year you sell, the more it does decrease it. However, your renewals always start in January of the following year, no matter when you sell it, unless, as Gage said, it's AEP business. So if you went out and sold 3 of these a week, you got the full comp of $287. That's an additional $44,772 per year to you. Not only that, week in and week out, what you'll notice is that Medicare Advantage has an 85% overall persistency as a product year over year if you sell it right and you don't sell it just on the copay, but you sell it on the overall value proposition of the carrier. Because it's about revenue. It's not about carrier loyalty. It's about loyalty to your client. And it's about selling the one that is the best fit for them in that market, regardless of which company is offering it, as long as the network is good. So when you turn around and you look at that, you can see, well, at 85%, if I don't work any harder, if I don't do any more, and I have the same amount of leads, and I still do that 3 and I do that 287, I'm still going to earn 44,772. Of course, that's going to go up because comp goes up every year. However, now you've got $38,000 in renewal money before your feet hit the floor on a yearly basis. And then that builds over year 3 because everybody's got a 5-year plan. And that's what I'm going to show you is that if you do a grind at 5 years, what will your renewal stream look like in year 6? Without any other sales. And I think that's the part that you're going to find very beneficial and exciting. So as you go through and you do that grind and you do it day in and day out, and you look for that average, what's going to happen is you're going to stumble on somebody who doesn't want Medicare Advantage and they may want a Medicare supplement. If you'll notice, I have no sales for year 1 for Medicare supplement. Year 2 is when you're really going to start finding your way. And you're like, you know what, man, final expense is the easiest to learn, but the hardest to sell. Well, guess what? Medicare Advantage is the hardest to learn, but it's the easiest to sell. Final expense pays your bills today. Medicare pays your bills tomorrow. And that's the mindset you have to have as you go into this. Got to keep jamming out the final expense. I need that first year cash flow. However, everything that I'm selling, everything that I'm doing, everything that I'm building is for a better tomorrow through the renewal stream on Medicare. And so it's even better with a MedSup because that actually turns around and what it will do is it will pay you, it's at a 90 or a 95% overall persistency. It's one of the highest persistency products in the marketplace. Once someone buys a MedSup, they typically don't ever drop it. And if they do, they switch to another one or they switch to MA. Because here's the difference, guys. When you sell final expense, you're selling it based on an emotion. If I'm a 75-year-old individual and I don't actually have a life insurance policy, you're the one creating the urgency and selling it based on that emotion. Get me to buy it. Because was it ever really a top priority for me? Probably not, but you're making it that way. There's a difference with Medicare. It's a decision and choice that they have to make. Nobody wants to remain on just original Medicare. People always want everything they're entitled, qualified, and eligible to receive. And so when you're talking to someone on the phone, after you've done your pitch, you're going to discover what would be the best fit for them? What would allow that individual to reduce their overall healthcare costs, put money in your pocket, and give them some peace of mind? Because that's really what you're selling. And once you learn the ins and outs of Medicare, you're going to see why these 2 products, a Medicare Advantage and Medicare Supplement, are so important for someone in the event of some type of catastrophic illness or loss. So when you look at these plans, you can see I just did 1. That's 11 policies a week, 7 for FE, 3 for MA, 1 MedSup, 11. It's not a big number. What would that 11 do on street level 20-point contract at a $1,345 average annualized premium, which is a plan G essentially for someone who's not just aging in, but those that are already on it as well. It's kind of a blend. That's going to be $13,988 added to your income on top of your final expense, on top of the MA, starting in year 2, once you get your feet under you. And you do that day in, day out, day in and day out for 5 years. We won't even talk about the added benefit of annuities or ordinary life IULs. Let's go right to what that dream would look like. So as you can see, year 1, just by adding in the MA on top of your 7 FE policies, that's $315,588 on a 100-point contract, selling 7 at $744. That's also $44,772 selling 3 MAs a week, all based on the renewal rate of $287. Where does it really start to get good? Well, you get into year 2. I didn't work any harder. I didn't do anything more. The only thing I started to do was add in that 1 MedSup a week. Now my income has jumped to $329,576. But all of my MA money started to kick in for my renewals. That's an extra $38,056 a year. Now my income has now jumped to $367,632. This is not a pie in the sky number, guys. This is so achievable, especially for you that are doing telesales where you have multiple states where you can really capitalize on the opportunity that may be in a particular market, especially in areas where maybe it's more rural. There's not a lot of field sales individuals. They don't get visited as much. There's all kinds of unique ways that we can identify opportunity within markets and then teach you how to generate what's called an SEP or a special enrollment period, and then capitalize on that to generate even more year-round enrollment opportunity. Year 3, your income now jumps to $413. But look, I didn't work any harder. I didn't talk to any more people. My closing ratio never got better. My comp levels never changed, which we all know that they do. So it'll only get bigger and better from here. But now look at my renewal stream. What does it do in year 3? Now it's $84,392. $70,000 a year is now coming in on my Medicare Advantage side by just doing 3 policies a week, week in and week out. Now you're at also $14,000 in renewal on your MedSup. Year 4, now my renewal stream is now $125,000. That's $455,000 a year. Year 5, $492,000. That's $163,000. If you follow this simple formula and you are willing to do the grind, you're willing to do the activity, you look for those 3 MAs, you look for that 1 MedSup a week, you close that business, you service that client. Year 6, you're going to be earning $192,236 a year just on renewals. That's $16,000 a month, guys, just on Medicare renewals alone. Before your feet even hit the floor, if you work this model in this plan and you do the activity, you make the dials, you visit the people, you follow up and you help keep it on the books, before your feet even hit the floor in year 6, you're going to be earning $16,000 a month in renewal stream. That's the power of Medicare Advantage. That's the power of Medicare as a whole, as a product and decision that people have to make. You're not having to create that urgency for them. You just have to create the opportunity to be able to speak to them, to talk to them about it, and educate them on what they're qualified, entitled, and eligible to receive. Once you do that, you're going to be able to drive a consistent amount of income to yourself month in and month out to supplement your final expense sales. If you want to go out and you want to take that vacation, you don't necessarily have to worry about being off the phones for a week and what that's going to do to your income. Because like clockwork, these plans pay per member per month. Every single member that's active on the policy is in month 13 or beyond. Here's the best part about it. If you put them on a nationally known, well-respected, stable plan, these aren't renewals that end in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, or 5 years with Medicare Advantage. They're lifetime renewal streams. So as long as they remain on that one plan, you'll continuously get a renewal stream on it. If you need to switch them or move them to something else, then you get a first-year comp again. And then on month 13, January, the process repeats itself. You're talking about following this simple formula that and not doing any sales in year 6 and only looking at the renewals, which I know at that point you would not do. But that's total compensation of $2.2 million. How many of you think this would be a hard process? It's really, really not. It's very simple. All it takes is activity, calling the members, making sure, Ms. Jones, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to speak with you today about your final expense, being able to leave something in churches, charities, or other organizations or your loved ones, whatever it is that you're saying as you're wrapping up your sales call. It doesn't matter who it is that you're talking to. You should always pivot over to, Ms. Jones, if you don't mind me asking, who or what you currently use for your health care? Oh, you've got Medicare. Well, I help my clients with that as well. That can be one of the biggest decisions that you can make as it relates to your retirement. In the event you have some type of catastrophic loss or illness, are you aware of all the dangers and pitfalls that are in Medicare? Are you getting all the benefits you're eligible and qualified to receive? Well, you know what? I can help you with that. It's that simple.
And I think that's what I wanted the message to be today, you guys, is that you can actually create whatever type of stream of income that you desire. What John is displaying to us is 156 Medicare Advantage policies a year. There's people that can do that in 2 or 3 weeks of open enrollment during AEP.
Exactly.
There's a gentleman that inspired me over the weekend at a conference we were at and said he did 556 policies in one AEP. Now that's very go-getter. He's obviously grinding, but if he can do that, why can't I do that? If he can do that, why can't you do that? It's a decision that he made, and it's a choice that he's choosing to focus on Medicare Advantage and putting in the essential steps right now. Like that's what I think I want you to kind of touch on, John, is like, everyone's like, well, open enrollment's in, 8 weeks from now or 9 weeks from now. But like, it really starts today, the efforts that you start putting towards setting yourself for open enrollment. Every client that you guys are speaking to that's over the age of 65, simply asking them what healthcare plan they're on can help you set future appointments during open enrollment. So from these next 7-8 weeks, you can literally set yourself up with 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 set appointments for open enrollment season. And I just don't think you guys I wanted you guys just to wrap your mind around this. This is why I'm so
I want to share
about this.
I'd like to share one other example for you then, Gage. There's a guy that I know from the previous agency. It took me 2 years to get him to sell Medicare Part C or Medicare Advantage because he was a straight up just final expense agent. He didn't want to mess with his cash flow. And I was like, and so once we got him to start doing the pivot, he told me that he would be the top agent in 3 years. He consistently went out and wrote, and I'll say this, he texted me on December 8th last year and told me that he was the number one agent at the agency. He wrote 1,150 Medicare Advantage sales last year alone. 486 of them were during AEP. So that just goes to, and that's how you have to gauge yourself. Whatever you can sell during AEP throughout the remainder of the year, that means OEP, which is January 1 through March 31, through remainder of year, which is those remaining months up to October 1st, you should be able to do 50% of your year-round enrollment through that time. And then the other 50% of your business comes during AEP in that short 7-week selling season. If you do that, you're going to find yourself with an enormous check, number one, and a huge income stream. More importantly, everybody that you talk to on the FE side, you may not be able to convert them to MA now. And to kind of segue from what Gage was saying, what you then want to do is get a permission to contact, and you follow up with them within, I'd like to give you a call, Ms. Jones, within the next 90 days or less, just to check in on you, make sure everything's okay and see if anything's changed, because you never know what could change in their life, which may give them an opportunity to enroll then. If not, that keeps your permission to contact fresh. So that way, the 1st through the 14th, which is known of October, which is known as pre-AEP, where you can't actually take an app, you can go ahead and all those people throughout the year that you couldn't sell to then, that's who you front load up the 1st through the 14th. The average agent will write between 50 and 125 cases from the 1st through the 14th just by stacking up all of their pre-AEP stuff for people that they could not sell throughout the year that you got the permission to contact on and did at least one follow-up to keep that 90-day contact fresh, and then set up a scheduled appointment with them the 1st through the 14th, pitch them on the 2023 plans. You can start talking about 2023 benefits on October 1st, and then the client can then choose to enroll.
And this, guys, is why I wanted you to hop on here, so you guys can kind of wrap your mind around it right now, being at the beginning of August, to be prepared for October. And then once that AEP is over, you're ready for OEP at the beginning of January. And then you can find those clients in the SEP special election periods throughout the year, because there's a cutoff essentially, right, John, from now until some point next year that all of our MA sales will count into January of 2024. Is that correct?
One more time at the end of that.
So obviously, I understand during AEP, those sales, those renewals aren't going to start till the following year.
That's correct. That's
right?
correct. That's correct.
But next year, beginning of 2023, during OEP and SEP periods, those sales will also go towards your renewal started in January 2024.
That's accurate.
Okay.
Throughout the year, guys, whatever you sell always starts to pay renewals on month 13. So even if you sell something with a 10/1 requested effective date, you're going to begin receiving renewals or with a 9/1 effective date, for example, not during an AEP sale. If you sell something with a 9/1 effective date, your renewal base on that will start in January. So as long as you're still on that plan, it'll just add to. That's why that number grows so consistently. And that's why all of these larger agencies are buying every agency they can based on that book of business, because it's almost like clockwork, the gospel. You can count on it month in, month out, day in, day out. It doesn't fall off as long as you sell the plan right, which is easy.
And that's what I wanted you guys to really fully understand. And so when I say we have 12 months, we have 12 months until 9/1 of 2023. So these next 12 months, all of your MA sales will go towards January of 2024, where you start to get that base salary, is what I keep calling it, because you're going to get it on a monthly basis. And so we really have an opportunity to go as hard as we can, learn as much as we can, fall on our face, because obviously we're stepping into a world that we don't know. Just like when we got into final expense, we were stepping into a world we didn't know. When you get uncomfortable, you focus on it and learn and gain the knowledge necessary, you can have in January 2024, $4 grand, $5 grand, $8 grand, $10 grand a month coming in 10 in January of 2024. And I don't know what that would do for you. I know what it's going to do for me. And it's really going to give me that flexibility and freedom that I sought when I got into this business. I wanted passive income. I wanted freedom. I wanted flexibility. But what we quickly learn when you're only selling final expense and mortgage protection, you start back at zero on the first of the month. You start back at zero on January 1st of the new year. Now we found a vehicle to give us this monthly passive income without having to recruit the world. And I keep saying that because a lot of us came from a place where we were trying to hire everybody so we could create that passive stream of income. And I don't know about you guys, but I'll take less headaches and more potential of monthly renewal.
You can get rich on 10. You can get rich on 10.
10.
That's all. 10 agents. You can get rich.
10, guys.
Here's one thing else that I'd like to add to that, Gage, and that's a very powerful message that you just shared, and why it's important to look toward the future. Build your renewal stream from day one if you can, especially everybody that you recruit in. You get them to start pivoting immediately, so that way they're not so dependent on that first year comp in years 2. And that way you'll get longevity out of that individual to be on your team, and you'll create less debt. The other thing is this: I know you guys are doing carrier training. I don't specifically train people just on a particular carrier. I train you on the overall product, the market, how to create opportunity, but more importantly, I'll teach you what to say, even from the very beginning. That way you'll understand, and you may not understand it all because I'll feed you through a fire hose. However, over time, I say the same things. And that's the most important thing, or the critical key to success is what? Consistency. You say the same thing every time. If you do that, you increase the law of averages, and you'll increase your overall success rate. But I'll teach you that. I'll teach you what to say on the phone. I've written CMS approved scripts. I've got rebuttals. I've got ways to identify SEPs in that market, when you should apply those. The whole presentation, I'll help you with all of it from A to Z. It will not be carriers. It will not be weighted toward Humana. It will not be weighted toward United. It'll be weighted toward you making money and creating a revenue stream for yourself and potentially for your downline. But I'll help you guys with all of that as well, should in fact you need me to or would like me to.
That's what's going in my mind right now, guys. That's what's going on in my mind right now, guys. And this is exactly why we partnered with Heartland Financial, because we could put you guys in a position to leverage people's experience to speed up your success. The reasoning, because guys like John, guys like Neil, guys like Gary have been doing this for over a decade, sometimes 2 decades.
And 20 years with this one product, 20 years.
And this is exactly why we assembled and partnered with Heartland Financial, because we don't know Medicare. One thing you're going to learn about me is I'm not going to sit here and act like I know it all, but I do know a guy by the name of John Gentry who knows it all, and I'll point you to that direction, and I'll allow you to connect with them, and he's here to work for you. And that's the beautiful thing about this partnership, is it's not just one guy we're relying on. We have multiple points of contact for final expense, for annuities, for IULs, for Medicare Advantage, for Medicare Supplement. And that's exactly why we're so excited to attack this AEP period, so we can get the bumps and bruises and the failures and the pitfalls out the way. So in 2023, we can dominate this market, because 10,000 seniors a day are turning 65. It's like a gold rush with the baby boomers. And so there's going to be plenty of SEP periods of time of people when we're working final expense. And I love these other ways of creating renewals, but we're really good at selling final expense. So we don't have to learn some type of new demographic. All we have to do is get confident in asking the right questions and helping the same people we've already helped with, or that we couldn't help. We help them save money and potentially eventually help them get a final expense policy. So you're going from a no sale a lot of times because they can't afford it, to reviewing their healthcare plan, to helping them try to save money on their prescriptions, help them save money on their Medicare plan, to freeing up $100, $200 in their monthly budget. Now you just help them enroll them into a Medicare Advantage plan, or switch a plan that helps them with their prescriptions, which frees up $100 to $200, which which now frees up $40 to $60 towards their final expense policy.
Exactly.
So that's what I see, guys. We can go from a no sale to 2 sales by learning Medicare Advantage. And that's why I'm so fired up about this. And that's why I wanted you guys to hop on here. And I appreciate you guys hopping on to take the time to learn. This is how we truly create the freedom, the flexibility, the renewals that we sought when we got in this business. Now, some of you guys have aspirations of growing a team. John just told you, you need 10 people and you can get rich. I'm sure there's a lot of you on here that know 10 people already that you think of that you want to do business with to attack this type of approach. And I'm not trying to steer you guys who are aspiring to grow a big life agency from not doing that. All I'm asking you is try to wrap your mind around the potential of how you can create a base salary for yourself and create the passive stream of income that most of us are desiring for. So I appreciate you, John, man. I really do.